Very good morning for everyone. Today is a wonderful session that is upcoming opportunities at the land of the rising sun. A lecture by Mr. Utsav Nangalia, avionics testing engineer at Mitsubishi Aircraft Corporation. The lecture was organized by Wings of Aero. First of all, I would like to welcome Mr. Utsav Nangalia, and we are thankful to them for accepting this event, and also welcome the all the participation. Now I will give the session to Mr. Utsav Nangalia. Sir,
Right.
you can start now.
Okay, thank you so much. Good
Thanks.
morning, guys. So we have 7 participants here, including me, that's 8. And right now I'm the testing engineer at Mitsubishi Aircraft. So Mitsubishi Aircraft is making a regional jet. So as you guys know, regional jet is an aircraft which has around 70 to 80 seats. 70, 80 seats in one configuration, and there are multiple configuration of the aircrafts. So I'm responsible for testing of avionics system, which is, as you may know, FDR or OMS, which is flight data recorder maintenance system, and a few other systems like flight control softwares and IMS. So these are 4 or 5 systems which we usually test on an aircraft, which comes under the avionics system. So there are many other avionics systems, but I'm responsible for only 3 or 4 systems as I am trying to work in this. And to start off my presentation or my discussion, I will just discuss with you the flow of what I have prepared for you guys. So first of all, I'll tell you a bit about myself, like what I have done in my university in my 4 years at BTech, and then how to apply for a job in Japan. So for the second part, how to apply for a job. As you guys know, Japan is a country which has quite low population, around 12 crores people, and they have very less resources or less talent in the field of aviation. So in the future, maybe you guys could have good opportunities to work in a country like Japan. And the reason being, Japan is something which is just trying to get into aviation. They have a good aviation industry. They have good partnerships and collaborations with American companies and Canadian companies and British companies. But in the meantime, in present scenario, Japan as a country is trying to get into Asia, which is countries like India and Indonesia, Philippines, and Singapore. And the reason being, just a minute, we have one more guys. Okay, so we have 2 more people here, 9 people. Okay, good morning guys, welcome. And so I'm just discussing for the newcomers. I'm just discussing on about Japan and how Japan and India are together welcoming a new phase of opportunity for the future of our generations. And as you guys know, that the current government in India, the Modi government, they have signed a few pacts or agreements with countries like Japan to provide skills and employees and engineers to country like Japan because they have less resources. And I don't know about if you guys have heard of it or if you guys know, but in February, Japanese government and Indian government, the 2 of them have signed an agreement to provide skill set engineers to a country like Japan in 14 sectors. And the good thing is aviation is also included in this list of 14 sectors. So if you guys can have a broad overview that in coming 2 or 3 years or maybe 5 years after this pandemic subsides, you guys would have good opportunities to work in country like Japan. So I'll discuss these 2 things in detail for around 15 minutes. So right now the time is 11 a.m. and 11:04 a.m. I will discuss around 11:20, and then for 10 and 15 minutes we'll have some questions from you guys, because it's very important for me to answer your questions rather than just me blabbing about myself and the opportunities in Japan. But you guys would have better questions on this thing. So a bit about introduction about me. So I studied from University of Petroleum and Energy Studies. This is an university in Dehradun, which is in north of India. And I completed my BTech in aerospace engineering with a diploma in avionics. So I was graduated in 2019, 2 years from today, around 1 year, 6 months. And I started my first job in Mitsubishi Aircraft. So I graduated in May and I started my job in October because it takes around 4 or 5 months to get a visa in Japan. So that's the usual amount of time. You guys, if you guys get an opportunity, and I hope that you will, you have to wait to get a visa. That's a bit of procedure, and you might have to hustle a bit for it. So about my BTech, so there were many activities which I did in my BTech which helped me to get a job or secure a job in Japan. And I guess it is very important for you guys as well to not follow but have a bit of similarities between what it requires to get a job in Japan. And for some of you guys who are in first year or in second year, so I will suggest you guys to work more on getting experience in aviation because getting an experience in aviation is very important if you want to get a job in Japan or if you want to get internship opportunities in the land of rising sun. And for people who are in third year, if someone is here in third year, I don't know about you guys in which year you guys are, but for some of you, if you are in third year, I would suggest you guys start preparing for internships. Get a good internship in a country like India, because and you guys are in Anna University, so I guess in Bangalore, in south of India, you can have many companies or many government agencies in which you can intern, and this is very important getting an internship in India, because for me, I did my internship from Indore, where I'm right now, current, and I did my internship at Indore Airport. So that was, I guess, one of the most important things for me to get and get my application selected by the Japanese company Mitsubishi, and that was in my second year, that I did my internship, and in my third year I did my internship from Bangalore, which is I guess you guys have heard of this company. It's called Gensel Aerospace, and that was the most important internship for me because Gensel Aerospace was where I learned about aviation in general, about everything about aviation. It's a good company, and they're also making a jet, a private jet, around 11 seater, 7+2, I guess, 7+2 9-seater aircraft. So the good thing was the things I learned in Gensel Aerospace was exactly the same which I was working in Mitsubishi. So I guess that internship was something which was very beneficial for me. And if you guys are able to find internship like this, I think the chances of you getting a job in Japan rises significantly higher. And so apart from internships, I think for you guys, it's very important. It's seriously very important to learn Japanese because that's one language you can't get out of. If you guys think you can manage without Japanese, you are fooling yourself. Because I have lived there for 2 years, and I can say without Japanese, nothing works in Japan. You can't even talk to people because they don't speak English. Only around 3% of the entire population of Japan speak English, and all those 3% are in America. So if you guys want to live in Japan, you have to learn Japanese. And the good thing is, if you don't know anything about aviation, if you are like you don't have any internships, you don't have much certifications in aviation, if you only have Japanese in your resume, Japanese company will hire you. Because the good thing about Japanese company is if you know Japanese, they will train you from the ground up. That's one really good thing about Japanese companies in comparison to Indian companies, that Japanese companies, they train you. And from the beginning, they will teach you for the 6 months training is very important. And every company in Japan has this course of 6 months in which they will teach you of what you guys would expect from what they will expect from you to work in the Japanese company. So this is a bit about general introduction and how to apply for a job in Japan. That's second. So applying for a job in Japan is relatively easier for us because Japanese people consider Indians as smart people. So they usually hire Indians in the current scenario if you compare to other countries, because I guess you all know that we Indians are far more fond of European countries or America in comparison to Japan. And Indians are having a different mindset in current scenario to get a job in Japan. So, and we all know that Japan and India have really good government relations. So even this thing is very helpful for us, for students like us. So even I'm not much older than you. I'm just one or 2 years older. So I guess I can talk to you more freely about getting a job in Japan. Um, so what the way I got a job in Japan is I was looking for jobs on LinkedIn. That's the usual way all of us look for a job outside of our of campus placements. And I was able to find a job in Mitsubishi. It was an internship program. So that's, I guess, this internship program was far easier for me to get into than find a permanent job in Japan. So it's better if you guys try to find internships and not permanent jobs, because if you guys are able to find internships in startups or some other companies in Japan, it's your chances of getting a permanent job is almost 98%. It's very highly unlikely that you guys won't get a job if you guys get an internship. And the way to find an internship is, I guess, you can usually look for Japanese companies who are working in the same domain as you guys. And if you're able to find something of your interest, I think you should apply for it. And one more important thing about Japanese companies, you should not be worried about what they are going to ask in interviews, because they will only ask you from your CV, which is your resume. And if you guys have a good CV or a multitude of like diverse curriculum vitae, and you guys are perfectly through and through of your CV, like you guys know everything which I have written in CV, you guys will be get able to get a good job in Japan. And I think it's best thing. And the second thing, which I guess is how my seniors, like of all or my colleagues, which are working in Japanese company, got a job in Japan is they went to Japan and on their own money, and they learned the Japanese language. This is very important. They learned the Japanese language for 6 months, and after learning a job, after learning Japanese language for 6 months, they try to find around some jobs in some smaller companies, in like smaller companies in aviation field only. And then they, after getting a relative experience of 1 year or 1.5 years, they switched to bigger and better companies in Japan. So that's the second way. The first way is LinkedIn, and that's the best way you can find a job anywhere on earth. And the second way is try to go into Japan, learn the language, and then find a job. So these are the only two ways in which through which you can get a job in Japan. And recently, the government has introduced a third way, which is through the collaboration between the Indian companies and the Japanese companies through the skill set sharing, which is a government initiated I guess, opportunity for you guys. And if you guys are able to find a place into it, it will be better opportunity. It will be better future for you. And apart from internships, I think the most important thing which you guys should do, and every one of us should do, is try to get certifications. There are many websites, EDX, Udemy, then even Academy, even DGCA has good courses on avionics nowadays. So these platforms are really important for you guys to get certification. And if you guys have certification in the area of your interest, I think you should go for it, because these things matter. In a country like Japan, everything matters. And apart from internship certification, I guess these two are the most important things. And if you guys have Japanese language under your CV or resume, I think that increases the chances by, I don't know, 1,000% or something. That's like, if you guys are Japanese, you guys can easily get a job in Japan. It doesn't matter what field you are in. If you guys know just Japanese, you'll be able to find a job in Japan. So that's another important thing. And apart from jobs and maybe university thing, I guess if you guys are into research, if some of you guys are into research, that's another second thing apart from job. If you guys are into research, if any one of you is interested in going to JAXA or some other laboratories or PhD or MTech in Japan, I think you guys should consider finding a Japanese professor on LinkedIn only. They all are on LinkedIn, and if the guys are impressed by your research, they will ask you to come to Japan and work with them for some research purposes or PhD purposes. And I think I know a few guys who are from South, who are from Bangalore, who are into research in these universities. They are studying MTech, some are doing PhDs in Japanese universities, and they have a fairly good life in comparison to our Indian way. And so these two are the most important thing: getting a job, research, and certification and internships. This one is the one most important: certification and internships. If you guys don't have any experience in aviation, the chances of you finding an internship in Japan drastically reduces. And this one thing is very important. And the good thing is, Japanese companies as of now have a broad interest in space sector. So currently they are increasing their footprints in the aviation world, because Japan as a country is mainly into manufacturing, but recently they have been into research. Like JIXA is really good into research. Then Japanese companies are getting into designing and development of aircrafts, spacecrafts, and these things. Mitsubishi is, I guess, the topmost company there, who are into collaboration with Boeing and Airbus and maybe even Embraer. Like not Embraer, but some suppliers of Embraer. And apart from Mitsubishi, if there are some other companies in Japan you can look for, it's Kawasaki. I guess Kawasaki is very famous in India for its bike, but even I got to know that Kawasaki is into aviation when I went into the company in Japan, in Nagoya. And so Kawasaki is also into aviation. Like not many people know about these things. And Mitsubishi, these two are the biggest company. And as you guys know, in the future, like India is in a sort of a developing phase right now. It's very fast-paced development, and Japanese labor and Japanese company are helping India they're helping India achieve its dream of being a developed country by 2050. So in 30 years, I guess Japan and India will be collaborating on not just bullet train or metro, but also in aviation. So if you guys are able to get a job in Japan, and I guess in the future, in 10 years from now, you will be able to help India also develop through the Japanese companies, which is, I guess, one of my own way, which I'm thinking of to pursue in the future. So apart from these two things, another important thing I can tell you in Japan is, if you guys are a bit outgoing, like if you guys are a bit friendly to people or extrovert, you guys would have a hard time in Japan, because Japan as a country is very introverted. They're conservative. They don't talk to you guys. Like they don't talk necessarily. They don't only talk when they have a work with you or your work colleagues. Apart from that, in public, they won't talk to you. So you guys will be a bit alone in Japan. And if you can manage it, it's good for you. You should consider going into Japan. And I guess for South, like you guys are from Anna University, right? So from I guess Anna University, I guess I know about few students who are studying in Nagoya University. They are also from Anna University. I don't know, I don't remember correctly, but I guess there are many South people from South India. They are studying in universities in Japan. So if you can get in touch with anyone, I guess they can help you get opportunities in Japan. It's very easy for you, for them, and for you as well. So, and I guess this is the most important thing I would discuss with you. Apart from this, I guess this is it for getting a job in Japan. And for research purposes, I guess you should, if you're guys looking for MTech, if some of you guys are in BTech and you want to do higher studies in MTech, I guess Japanese universities can be a good choice for you in comparison to American or European universities. And the good thing is, if you guys are in MTech in Japan, if you guys are studying masters, it's very easy for you to find a job, because the good thing is Japanese companies, they are very low on labor. And if you are studying MTech or PhD, it's very easy for you to switch to another companies in startups or in collaboration or in big companies like Mitsubishi or Toyota or Kawasaki. Even Toyota is a good opportunity for you guys, but Toyota is mostly in America. They don't have much operations in Japan. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but Toyota is also making a small jet, which is known as the Honda jet. Sorry, it's from Honda, not Toyota. I'm sorry. It's from Honda. So Honda is a company which you can look for, and it's in America, in Seattle and in Tokyo. Honda, not Toyota, sorry. Toyota is for cars. Honda is for jets. Yes, I'm sorry for that. And so these three companies, Honda, Kawasaki, and Mitsubishi, are in aviation, and these three are in aviation. They are in aerospace, not astrospace. So for astrospace, I guess there are not big companies, but there are around 6 or 7 startups which have started in Japan in the last 5 years. Around 2015, they have started operations and they are working in Japan as of now, and they are hiring in good numbers. So if you guys want to work in space sector, if you are interested, like most of us are, I guess you should look for the Japanese startups. They are hiring in good numbers. And I guess this concludes my talk. But and I can take some questions from you, and I can answer on this. Any questions from you guys?
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Yeah.
Sir, I am Arvind.
Yeah. Hey, Arvind. How are you?
So, if I want to join JAXA,
Uh-huh.
they have any entrance exam or interview procedure, sir?
No. There's no entrance or interview. They have interviews. Like interview is regular interview, but you should have an MTech and PhD from Japanese university. Like you should be studying in Japanese university for a few years if you want to get in JAXA. So maybe there are some guys on LinkedIn you can find who are studying in JAXA. They're also having like research in turbo machinery or turbo propulsions. Like last time I saw, they were in propulsions in JAXA. So if you can contact them, they can help you in much better way because I don't have much idea about JAXA. But the only thing I know is you should be studying in Japanese university. You should be having a master's, at least a BTech and MTech from some other university. It's possible, but you should be having a research from Japan, and then you can move into JAXA. That's one thing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, most welcome. Any other questions? It's
Sir,
better if you
my
can
sir-
ask me questions and I will answer you. Yeah.
Sir, I tried to get
Yeah.
internship in Japan,
Yeah.
but their websites cannot get it due to COVID-19 okay?
Yes. Right.
In
Yeah.
future, can I get it?
Yeah, surely, man. Like, I'll tell you the reality of Japan right now. So, from the last 6 months, this is March, sorry, from last 9 months, from July, I guess, all the Japanese companies, they have put a hiring freeze. So, because of this COVID thing, they have put on a hiring freeze. Even in my company, Mitsubishi, they're not hiring anyone. Instead, they're taking people out because they are too much. There's too many people for the job they need. So, they're laying off people from the company and they're not hiring anymore. But in around 2022 January, next January, they will start hiring again because this COVID thing is this also had a very good impact on Japan. Their economy is very bad right now, so no Japanese company is hiring right now. No Japanese company. And the only one they're hiring are the ones who I guess who are working in Japan and they are looking for switching to companies. They're not hiring any more foreign employees into Japan. So the only people they're hiring are the ones who are working in Japan in some other companies and they're looking to switch. So that's the only possibility. And but for you, Mathan, I guess we should start looking for opportunities around October or November again. And if you are looking for internships, that's the best thing, I guess. Internships are the best thing to get into Japan. That's the easiest way to get into Japan. If you have an internship in Japan, I guess you can consider it a job as well because they're going to hire you no matter from where you are. If you have a 6 months or 8 months internship, after 8 months, they will ask you to work permanently for them. So this will maybe you have to wait for around 6 months as of now.
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
Sir, another question.
Yes.
I have to learn Japanese.
Yeah.
Is any institute or online courses?
Yes, there's an online course on EDX for Japanese language. I'm not studying, I'm not taking the course, but I know of this course, the Japanese course. And the best way to learn Japanese, I guess, is through YouTube. YouTube has really this good. I'll share with Arvind a channel, and he'll share with you. So it's known as Japanese Pod 101. That's the go-to Japanese page for all of us who are studying in Japan. That's the best page for learning Japanese. And I guess nowadays even Indians are teaching Japanese. They have some good institutes or good schools in India as well. I know a few people in my city, Indore, who are teaching Japanese, but they are a bit expensive. So maybe you can look for something in your own city. If not, YouTube is the best place to go. That's, I guess, YouTube is the only place, or EDX for a course.
Thank you, sir.
So I have one doubt.
Huh?
I have one doubt, sir. How many days
Yeah,
take?
sure.
How many days take to learn Japanese language, sir?
It
Time
depends
period.
on you, man. Time period. I guess least is 1 year. I guess least is 1 year. Japanese is very tough. It's like seriously tough language. Uh, the problem is like Japanese language has no relation to Hindi or English. It's a completely different language. It's more related to Chinese and Korean than Hindi or Sanskrit. So we Indians find it a bit hard to learn Japanese because they have Chinese characters, which is known as kanji. So that's the most headache thing for us, and it's really fucks you up, man. Like kanji is not for kids. It's very tough because there's like slight digress and there's a different meaning. So you think I know this, but there's a slight this, and you're like, oh, this is not kanji. This is something else. So kanji is difficult. It takes around a year to get comfortable with kanji and to just get comfortable. And to get fluent in Japanese, it takes around 1.5 to 2 years. It's more hard work in Japanese because it's and you guys know it's the toughest language on earth. So 1 year is least time and 2 years to get comfortable with it, to be fluent in it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So how to get citizenship in Japan, sir? How to get citizenship in Japan?
Citizenship in Japan. So you like not PR, right? Only citizenship, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
for citizenship, you have to have some like there are 5 criteria, if I can remember correctly. The first is you should have BTech and MTech. That depends on your qualifications. The more qualified you are, the better chances you have to getting a citizenship. Then secondly, your salary package. In Japan, the salary package is really important. Like it's very expensive to live in Japan. Then third, the amount of experience you have. And the fourth is how long you have stayed in Japan. I guess the least is 2 years. If you have 2 years and if you have good qualifications, you have good salary package, you have the relative experience, you can get a citizenship. And for the PR, you need to marry a Japanese woman for a PR. It's like the same in all the countries. And for citizenship, it's far easier than a PR. So I guess this is the four ways. First is qualification, second is experience, third is salary package, and fourth is the time you have spent in Japan. These are the 4 ways.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions from Murray, Ramesh, Jafar, Michael? Rani is also here. So any questions from her?
Margara, you have any doubt?
Hi, sir.
Okay.
How to get internship, sir?
Yeah.
How to get internship, sir?
Internships, man. So I guess you need to in which year you are?
In aerospace.
Yes.
Yeah, in aviation. Which year are you studying in?
2020.
So let's see, you are in this year first year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess you have more. You have 3 years. So the best way I can get you an internship is you should learn Japanese. You have 3 years. That's more than enough to learn Japanese. And if you have around N3 level Japanese, so there are 5 levels in Japanese: N5, N4, N3, N2, and 1. So Japanese companies require at least N3 level Japanese, and that's easy. It's like 1,000 kanjis and hiragana and katakana. So that's easier. But N1 is like 3,000 kanji. That's very difficult. And N3 is relatively easier. And if you have N3 level Japanese, if you have internships in aviation in India, like in some startups or some companies in India, there are many companies right now in India who are working in aviation. So try to get an internship in these companies first. And once you have around 2 or 3 internships and some certifications in Japanese language, you guys will have a good opportunity to get an internship in Japan. So that's the first way. And the second way is you have to travel to Japan, learn Japanese there for 6 months, and then tell the government, give me a job, and they will give you a job in Japan. And the government helps you. Their government is really good, and they will help you find a job in Japan. And it's from a smaller company to a bigger company with some relative 1 year or 6 months experience. This will help you guys. Yeah. Any other questions? Try to get some experience in India. That's very important. 2 or 3 internships is at least required. It's another question. Yeah, Rajesh.
Hello, sir. Sir, if you have no internship experience in India, can we get a internship in Japan? Is possible?
It's possible, but it's very difficult, man. It's very difficult. If you don't have any internship experience in India, they won't internship. So you might have to spend some money for that. Because Japan is very expensive. For 6 months, I guess you have to spend around 8 lakh yen. 8 lakh yen. So monthly expenditure is 1 lakh yen is minimum there. 1 lakh for and everything. And for Japanese classes, 6 months is usually around 3.5 to 4 lakh yen for 6 months. That's the amount I paid to learn Japanese for 6 months. And I guess you have to spend a good amount if you want to go to Japan and get an internship. So I guess it's better if you try to find a job. Comparison to Japan and then finding an internship.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No questions? So I guess
Sir, I think I'll have cleared their question. Can we?
okay.
Can we end the session?
Yeah,
sir?
sure, please.
So thank you for your wonderful sharing your experience, sir.
Thank you so much.